All right, in our last lesson, we're going to talk about case 3 and case 4. So case 3, when we're dealing with angles in circles, is when the vertex is inside the circle, but not necessarily the center point, all right? So that means we're going to use a new formula. The angle is going to be equal to the sum of the two arcs that it forms divided by 2. So if you take a look at the angle that they've designated in this circle, if you look at the two chords that form that angle, right, it intercepts two separate arcs. We have an arc up here, and we have an arc down here. All right, they've listed this angle, but this angle right here would be the same too because they're vertical. All right, so those two angles are the same, but they're intercepting two different arcs. Those are the two arcs we want to add together. Arc plus arc divided by 2 will give us the angle. So we'll start with this one. We're looking for the measure of angle 1. All right, so if you take a look at the chords, the vertex of this angle is inside the circle, but not the center point. It's intercepting two separate arcs. We've got our 93-degree arc and our 113-degree arc, right? So based on that formula we just learned, we know that the angle is going to be equal to the two arcs, so 93 plus 113 divided by 2. So 93 plus 113, that is 206 divided by 2, right? Our angle, in this case, is going to be 103 degrees, right? 103. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, so this time they've given us the 92-degree angle, right? We know these vertical ones are both 92. One of the intercepted arcs is 84. The other intercepted arc, we don't know, right? That's what they're asking us to find, the measure of arc QT. So I'm going to put an X in for QT. Now let's take a look at the formula. Angle equals arc plus arc divided by 2. Now make sure you're substituting in the right place. 92 represents an angle, so that's going to go in for angle. All right, and then 84 we know is an arc, and X is going to be our other arc. So this will be 84 plus X divided by 2. Now to solve this equation, we're going to need to cancel out that 2. So we'll multiply both sides by 2. Right? So that becomes 184 equals 84 plus X. Right? Subtracting 84 from both sides, we get 100 equals X. So our missing arc is 100. Make sure you're substituting arcs in for the word arc and angles in where it says angle. All right, let's take a look at number 5. All right, number 5 is going to be a multi-step problem. We can't just go straight to the formula on this one. Let's take a look at why. All right, they want me to solve for X, which is my missing angle. So I know I need the two arcs, right, that come from that angle, right? Those two angles are the same. So the problem here is I don't know this arc, but I also don't know the angle. So I have two unknowns in the relationship, so I can't solve it straight out. So I'm going to call this Y, right? So there's a couple different ways we could solve this problem. But what I want you to notice is that we have accounted for the entire circle except for Y. So if I do 360 and I subtract out all the other arcs, so minus 93, minus 45, minus 89, let's see what that gives us. 360 minus 93 minus 45 minus 89. That leaves us with 133 for our missing arc. Once I know my missing arc, now I can plug into that new formula that we learned, right? Remember, x represents the angle, and 133 and 45 represent arcs. So we can do x equals 133 plus 45 divided by 2. That gives us 178 divided by 2. So x is 89 degrees. All right, that brings up our last case, case 4, when the vertex is outside of the circle, right? So when the vertex is outside, see how our angle is outside the circle? You get a small arc and a large arc where the rays of the angle intersect the circle, right? So our formula for this relationship is going to be angle equals large arc minus small arc divided by 2. All right, so this can look 2 different ways. It can either be, well, it can look 3 different ways. 2 secants, like we see in the main example. It can be a tangent and a secant, like we see on the second one. Or it can be 2 tangents. Right? So let's take a look at what we have here. Right? We're looking for the measure of angle 1, right? 65 is our large arc. 15 is our small arc. And angle 1 is our angle. Right? So we know that the angle is equal to the large arc, which we said was 65, minus the small arc, we said was 15, divided by 2. So in this case, our angle is equal to 50 over 2. All right, so the measure of angle 1 is 25 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 7. All right, I'm going to jot down the formula for you really quickly so we can refer to it. Angle equals large arc minus small arc divided by 2. All right, so let's identify what they've given us in the diagram. All right, 70 represents the large arc. Right? The small arc is not labeled for us. Right? So that's going to be our x. Let's see. Small arc is going to be x. And then the 27 degrees represents our angle. Right, so when we're plugging into the formula, we want to make sure that we put x in for the small arc, right? So this would be angle equals, so 27 is the angle, equals large arc is 70 minus x divided by 2. Right? Multiply both sides by 2 here to cancel out the denominator. So that'll give us 54 equals 70 minus x. So now we need to subtract 70 from both sides. All right, and that'll give us negative 16 equals negative x. Divide both sides by negative 1. X is 16, and x in this case represents the small arc. All right, number 8. This time, we can see that our angle is formed by 2 tangents. So the vertex is outside of the circle and is formed by 2 tangents. What you'll notice on this one is that we have 2 unknowns at the beginning. So that tells us it's a multi-step, all right? Remember the angle equals the large arc minus the small arc divided by 2. All right, so what piece of information do we know? Well, they gave us this 260, which represents the large arc. Now, what I want you to notice, since the angle is formed by 2 tangent lines, the small arc is actually the rest of the circle. So the large arc and the small arc together, when you have 2 tangents, make up the whole circle. So if I do 360 minus 260, there's 100 degrees left for the small arc. Once I know that, now I can solve for my angle. All right, that's a special case. The large arc and the small arc make up the whole circle if the angle is formed by 2 tangents. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to put an x in for our angle. So x, the angle, equals large arc, 260, minus the small arc, 100, divided by 2. So x equals 160 over 2. So x equals 80. All right. That is the end of case 4. So we are going to do an activity after this.